Is that a
Okay.
picture?
No,
Okay.
no, it's here. Hello, how are you? Shalom,
I'm
shalom.
good.
How are you? My name is Cher. What's your name?
I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh. So, I understand you're a Chayal.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your job during Operation Protective Edge?
Sure. My job was or is, to like fix computers and to make sure that everything's working properly, and that if someone needs a printer, one of the commanders needs a printer, I go and hook up the printer, or I fix it if it's fallen or something, and different things like this. So so during the war, I was in the area near Gaza, where they were giving orders to the soldiers in Gaza, and so I went around and I helped all the commanders with their computers and made sure everything was worked well. And so like this, and I saw a lot. I did see a lot, and it was a very difficult time for me, especially being American and coming to Israel, and it's a different, like,
Josh, are you a lone soldier?
not technically. I am kind of like half lone soldier. My mom came with me, made Aliyah with me, so my dad is still in the States, so I like half.
And how long have you been here?
I've been here almost 3 years now.
And you said that it's a little bit difficult for you being an American. Like, what challenges did you face?
It was difficult in the sense that I had it was a different mindset. In America, the worst thing that I had to like worry about my friends or something was like which beach they were at. And then here, I come and I know people that were there in Gaza. It was scary for me to think about that they could die, and I have friends that are my age that could possibly die. And it was.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
So you said something about America and the worst thing that could possibly happen. Something that I find interesting that's different from me as an American versus me being an American now Israeli here is that in America, when we generally have wars, thank God, it's not really on our land. So,
Right.
like, for example, Desert Storm was in Iraq. So when somebody goes off to war, it's like, like you wish them well and then they're gone and then it's sort of like out of sight, out of mind. And here it was so interesting because, our soldiers are like, how many hours away were you stationed from where we are now here at the hotel?
How many
Hours.
like? Let's see. It was like 3 hours.
Right, so it's very interesting for me as a person to have a war 2-3 hours away, and what that means to me as a civilian means that my job as a person who's not fighting in the army is not to just think that you guys are handling it and I'm just going to go to work and punch in and punch out at 6 o'clock or whatever. That in Israel, if we're not physically fighting, that we have an obligation to help the soldiers in any way we can. If it's here going to the kotel and praying, if it's raising money and giving you guys like underwear or wipes or cigarettes or whatever it is that you need, or if it's like I know people went and brought you food. Can you talk a little bit about the effort that people made to support you and how that felt?
Yeah, it was definitely something very amazing to experience being in an army where you don't just feel like you're just in an army and then that's it. You have like the whole land comes to like support you, and you have like an entire family. You really feel like you're part of a family here, and it's definitely something that's unique to here, to this land, to Israel. So there was once I remember during the thing that we had someone just it was a company or something that just came and gave us free food, and they made salads and shawarma and different things, and it really helped us because it makes us feel, especially like when we're in the shetach, like in the desert, we don't have like a lot of like really good food. We have like sandwiches and things like this. So to get like really good food like salads and all this stuff, it was nice and it made us feel better.
It's crazy. Like, a person, if let's say if I was going on a 5-mile race, I know my mom probably wouldn't let me out of the house without having like some pasta so that I could like carb up or something.
Yeah.
And you guys are literally fighting a war, and you're eating what, tuna fish? Like, what's a daily meal that's not shawarma and salad that somebody's bringing to you?
The thing I had the most was a sandwich with just like yellow cheese.
And how are you supposed to have energy to fight a war with a sandwich with yellow cheese?
Yeah.
No disrespect to Israel, but how come that's like the food?
Well, for us it was a bit different because we're a support group, so we didn't get like the more nutritious food. But the Kravi units, the combat units, they get a lot more tuna, and we did get tuna and things like this. But they give us a lot of carbs to kind of just keep our energy up longer, I guess.
See, I think that people like in America are not necessarily used to this culture of having to support the troops. It's not like I never had to do that during my lifetime in America, like make sandwiches and bring them to people or anything like that. And I think for me as an olim, an oleh chadash, a person this is my first year making aliyah, it was a new experience to feel like I had a role to play in the army, and that even people all over the world had a role to play, whether it's like making donations or writing letters or sending care packages or just saying something nice to you, as opposed to what the rest of the world was saying, and all the nasty things that we heard in the media or online or whatever about people who are defending the Jewish right to exist.
Yeah.
So there was so much that people around the world could do, and it's nice that you said you felt it when somebody, let's say, brought you salad or shawarma. Like, now that this is over, I'm curious if there were any, like you said, you were in communications and faxes. How do you know that you were important? If something, God forbid, happened to you, that a message wouldn't get delivered, could you talk about your individual role and how you, justified, your importance in the war and what you feel maybe you contributed?
Yeah, I did. I know I contributed because there were several instances where we were talking about, our commanders were sending something or trying to communicate with the soldiers on the ground, and they, in something just suddenly didn't work, and then they would all come to our little office and be like, please come, like really fast. We have to there's something not working. They're not understanding us, or they're not getting our messages, or something like this, and we would have to go and fix it real fast. So, and especially in war, every second, every minute counts. So we would, rush to there and fix the problem as fast as we could, and then, step back and wait for a couple minutes and make sure that everything was still working properly and it wasn't just, a glitch that kept coming up. And
yeah, I think also people's perspective about what it means to be a soldier in the army is not necessarily what it means for Israel. In Israel, everybody, the entire youth force is pretty much drafted. There's people who get exceptions or whatever, but everybody has a role, including women. And for us as Jews surrounded by hostile nations all around, it means that everybody has a role, and that, as you say, saves lives. I mean, if my cell phone is off on Shabbos, the first thing I'm doing as soon as the Shabbat goes out is I'm checking to see what messages I got or what's happening. And especially during the war, I was constantly looking and seeing what's happening or what was the news. So your role, let's say, as somebody within communications, I mean, there's no doubt how many lives you've saved by making sure that commands were heard or information was passed on. And especially now when we have, such modern technology where things go at the speed of light, a 19-year-old person from America, 3 years here, whether you fired a gun and protected somebody in that way or sent a fax or decoded a message, I really want to take the time to say thank you so much for protecting us and for protecting me as an Oleh Chadash, a person who in my first year coming here had no expectation that I was going to walk into a war zone, except that unfortunately that's our history here in Israel, that we're constantly at the threat of our cousins or neighbors or whoever's around us, and that we are in a constant state of operating with protective edges around us, because we never know when a war is just going to start to pop up. So I know you want to go daven here at the Kotel, but I really wanted to say thank you and appreciate that. And if there was one more question I could ask, do you feel difference, if there's any miracles or strengthened in your Zionism as a result of your either inner strength, something you saw, or a person that helped you?
Well, I had a very strong sense of Zionism when I came to Israel in the first place. That was one of the reasons I came. But my commander in my basic training really helped a lot to kind of help me get into the feel of the country and to feel like I was part of something here and not just regular American coming to just do whatever. They really everyone here really makes you feel as if you are a part of their family, and that it's just such a family atmosphere here, and it's so different from what I know in America that it was really just awe-inspiring for me.
Thank you. Could you, but with the kota behind you, could you tell us your name, your rank, and where you're originally from and where you're from now?
Yes, I can tell you my rank in Hebrew. I don't actually know it in English.
Okay.
I'm Joshua Richmond. I'm from Florida, and I'm a Rabat in the Tzal.
Toda rabah, Joshua. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Bye. Say hi. Thank you so much, Joshua. I appreciate it. What's your name? Like your